Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show, your daily fix of football chat on STV, and we're delighted to have your company. Hibs confirm the loan signing of Anthony Stokes. Eric Zviachenko says he's no softie as Celtic prepare for the match against Hamilton Accies. Jackie McNamara offers Derek Riordan a lifeline at York City, and we'll also discuss the meeting today of all the SPFL bosses at Hampden. Just a few of the topics Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin, will be discussing with our bookroom guest, I'm delighted to say, Gordon Smith. So, first and foremost, the SPFL have been meeting the bosses. They've been discussing a number of issues, and I think strict liability, it looks highly unlikely, Ruffy, that they're going to take that on board unanimously. Certainly a few of the board's bosses have been rejecting the thought of taking on strict liability for the misbehaviour of fans.
It's a difficult one because we all know that the clubs are doing their best in every avenue to stamp it out. But again, we see just mindless supporters spoiling it for everybody else. It's very, very hard. Once the games come round, how can the clubs monitor it 100%? Because it's out with their hands sometimes.
There might be the possibility, though, Gordon, of being docked points. They've got to take some kind of action, some kind of responsibility, despite the fact that a lot of clubs, and I think we all accept this, try and put out a really positive message and try and take action against any fan misbehaviour.
Yeah, they do that. The only thing was, if clubs are punished, and this is the strange thing that does happen now and again, you would imagine if you put that sort of sanction in, that the club gets punished, Peter, then you would say, surely the good fans would realise, I'm only harming my club. If you're a real supporter, why would you do something that's going to get your club docked points or fined or whatever? But some of them still do it, even though there's been things in the past. I mean, there was a situation where, where they're throwing the fire bombs, what is it called? Flares onto the pitch and all that. Now, what's happened is that Celtic have already been put in pressure by UEFA for it and punished for it, and yet fans are still doing it over here, as if to say, well, we don't care if the club get into trouble for it or not. In fact, in the singing of certain songs by the fans, the clubs are doing their best to try and stop it, and I can understand why they don't want to take it totally on board, that they get punished for the way certain people, maybe a minority, would act in certain circumstances.
There are twofold here. Certainly for the bigger clubs, Ruffy, there are elements within various supporters groups who think they'll do whatever they want. They'll use the club as a platform to put out their political message or their sectarian message. The clubs do indeed try and stamp it out, but unless there is some form of sanction, you're just going to have to keep hoping that not only the club but the authorities take action within the ground and arrest people.
Yes, well, that's what we're hoping, that people to be made example of. You don't want the good supporters taken into their own hands, because that's what's going to happen. If you're going to be told your club's going to be deducted 3 points, and there are people round about here in the stadium who are going to cause that 3 points, good fans will start taking it into their own hands. So unless the police actually move quickly, and we all know how hard it is for them to do it, but if it's seen to be done, then people round about might take notice.
Now, with regards to the possible league reconstruction in the summer, I nearly fell off the chair laughing when some people were interviewed going into the meeting and saying, well, they'll listen to the possibility of change, but they think it's being motivated by self-interest. Now, I thought that's the way the SPFL was operating for the last 20 years.
Well, that's why some people want to change, and some people would be opposed to it. It is basically down to that. That's one of the hardest things in football, is to get people to look at the wider aspect of it. Is what's good for the game, what's good for Scottish football here, how would it improve, rather than just thinking, would we suffer because of that? I mean, that was one of the aspects that made it difficult years ago when they went to a 10-team league. Now everybody says it's going to be better, but it obviously suited the 10 teams that were going to be in it, because the 10 teams in that league then divided the money among themselves, and there was very little money then went beyond that. In England, you've got a scenario there where you've got a top league the Premier League in England, Premiership. They make fortunes there, but they do sort of spread some of the money down when it goes to the parachute payments, that type of thing. The money goes down. So we're hoping to think that that could happen, but surely people are going to make a decision based on what's actually best for the game. It will come down to democracy.
Yeah.
As to say whether it's a 16-team best, a 12-team league, or an 18-team league, whatever. People have got to decide on what's best, not just for themselves, but for the football in general.
I think they need a high percentage, though, of people to vote for it, Ruffy, to drive it through.
Yeah, again, you know, we're at the stage of the season where there will be people sort of hedging their bets, because at the end of the season, there is one club going to be disappearing, and as usual say, it could be Dundee United.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what Rangers' vote is towards that one. You know, with the good faith that they have between each other.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of voting that you'll be looking at.
I mean, surely you couldn't get a situation where the SPFL would vote for certain clubs not to be relegated. Has that happened before, Gordon?
maybe they'll think about it. The one thing that's at least is the fact that it is all one body now.
Yeah.
Beforehand, you had a situation where it was difficult over the years because you had two different bodies. You had the SPL and the Football League, you know, and they were obviously opposed, and there was a lot of self-interest involved then. But it is under one body now, and surely that you would say that the decision will be made would be to suit everybody. Now, you know, there's people. I did a piece on it recently in my column in the Sunday Post saying, well, if they're going to have a 16-team top league, then would you not have 16 teams in other leagues as well?
Yeah.
Because if you're saying this is the best system, this is what's best, only playing each other twice, why would you just have it in one league? You'd then have to do it down the league as well. And in that case, we're short of teams for that. And I believe then, if that is the case, if they go down that line, I do believe they need to bring in the B teams, as they have in some of the other countries in Europe, in order to put big clubs in the lower divisions.
Yeah, and just to cover our tail here, there are lots of good ex-footballers writing columns in other newspapers across the country, just in case anybody thought he was giving himself a massive plug there. Here's one thing I didn't know was actually on the cards, was facial recognition technology. Mike Mulroney from Alloa said that he reckons that the clubs would need a hand. It could cost around £4 million. I didn't know that was on the agenda, Ruffy. I didn't know that was one of the driving forces. I can see why they would want to bring it in.
Yeah, you have to explain that one to me, actually.
Well, facial recognition technology is just basically that you automatically get into the ground and it recognises your face. It means you can track fans if they are guilty of misbehaviour. You can obviously ban them from the grounds, as well as it having a positive effect, Gordon. I mean, I actually think people will start dressing up if they're banned.
At a high level, in terms of some, some businesses and houses, you can have facial recognition for door entry systems.
Yeah. What's it like? Is it easy in your house, Gordon?
It's easy. Just like once I got my facial, all that reconstruction done surgically, then it was difficult. I had to get it reset.
Yeah. Would you like to see it in the game? Is it a necessity?
It is if you're going to get deducted 3 points. If you're setting off flares, I'm sure the clubs that can afford it, that it's going to hit, would do it. But I thought that tickets for games were monitored by supporters clubs. I thought that they get tickets and they dish them out. Everybody knows the number. You're registered as a season ticketer. I mean, I know away games. People are handing over tickets to pals and that kind of thing. I know that's a problem. So that might be the way to go.
Gordon, do you buy into it?
I think it'd be too much money. I don't think Scottish football can afford to go down that line. There's also one that would be cheaper probably, which is a fingerprint identification, and they might go down that route, but I don't see them doing the facial one. No. Yeah,
it's turning into Interpol just to watch a game of football these days. What do you think on it? You can interact with us at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy, and also go to peterandruffy.com and tell us what you would like to see implemented in the game. Ruffy, we've been having a good laugh about it, but Hibs have finally confirmed Anthony Stokes has signed on a loan deal till the end of the season. Yep,
and I'm sure the Hibs supporters will be looking forward to see where they're going to get him in. Obviously Cummins has been the main striker. If you can get two strikers in there and he can start scoring goals, which he will do in that league, and yeah, that'd be good for Hibs.
Yeah, could that tip the balance, Gordon?
I think it could help Hibs greatly. I think he's a good signing for them because he is a goal scorer. He's also a creative player. He's played at a higher level. And I think that, just at this stage of the season, Hibs getting somebody like that in, it'll be a bit short of match practice, to be fair, but he is a good player. Yeah,
but hopefully, I think for Hibs fans, not at the expense of Jason Cummings heading out the door.
No, that'd be the big one. I think they'll all be waiting in the team selection, the next game, to see if the two of them will be involved. I think they'll all be hoping they are. They've got ample midfield, so they've got ample players there, so I'm sure actively they will be working to see how they can fit the both of them in.
Could be a straight shootout. Gordon, why Gordon Miller? similar against Stokes and Cummings.
Yeah, it certainly could be. And I think that Hibs have got obviously a big game coming up soon as well in the League Cup, so he'll be a crucial player for that too because he's not cup tied.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget John Baird at Falkirk, just in case, Ruffy, because I've still got the old bet on there for Beardy to try and get those goals. 25 is all we need. OK, join us after the break. We're going to talk about Eric Zviachenko, Celtic against Hamilton, and the Scottish Cup replays. It's all coming up on The Football Show. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Gordon Smith is our boot room guest. Delighted to have Gordon alongside Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin. Thanks very much for joining us. Weekdays, 7 o'clock on STV Edinburgh, STV Glasgow. And of course, let's not forget Saturday afternoon. If you want to follow the football and you can't get out to a match, then we're on from 2 o'clock in the afternoon, bringing you all the goals as they hit the back of the net, all the up-to-date information and opinion as well. Join us if you can. Celtic against Hamilton, of course. I looked at the back page this morning. Eric Zviachenko saying, if you think I'm a softie, I'll kill you. What a nice way to introduce yourself to strikers up and down the country, Gordon.
Yeah, it certainly is, and especially when he also comes across every stage as an intelligent boy. He's artistic, all that type of thing. His father was an artist, I think. They came over from Ukraine, so he's got a good reputation. He's played for the Danish international team. He's been playing at a higher level. He's 24 years of age. He's not the tallest. I thought he may have been taller. I mean, I think he's about 6 foot tall. But he's seemingly he's a very fluent player, and he moves well. And the problem he's maybe got is I don't know whether he'll play tonight or not, because he's not played since early December. I think the last game he played was against Club Brugge in the Europa League, and that was, I think, the 10th December. So he's had a long break there, but he's maybe in good shape. Yeah,
and of course this is one of those games. I mean, Martin Canning has already mentioned that he knows the pressures of being in the bottom end of the table, but he's not expected to do anything in this game, and it's again a chance for Celtic to restore that advantage over Aberdeen, Roffy.
Yeah, but they're going into the game not particularly in the free fall that they're on. They managed to get that draw at the weekend, which will give them a wee bit of confidence, but I think they could be found out tonight if Celtic are firing on all cylinders. They have went there before and surprised everybody. I just can't see it tonight. I think Celtic have got something to prove now.
Yeah, and of course they were impressive, Celtic, against Dundee United the weekend. And again, albeit that Dundee United, like Hamilton, are on the bottom end of the table.
Yes, and they'll be motivated with the fact, I mean, a good performance, but also with Aberdeen getting the points at the weekend there. It was a tremendous fight back from Aberdeen, considering the fact that we're down to 10 men. But we talked about on Saturday, Peter, we think Aberdeen are maybe at their best when they're not being considered title contenders. As soon as the pressure goes on them and everybody thinks, oh, you can win the league, they falter and they make some mistakes and they lose games. So I think tonight Celtic will be motivated by the fact they played well. Aberdeen are caught up with them a bit, and they can increase the lead again by getting the points. And I like Roffy, I think they will.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword, Roffy. Everybody in the media, I think, consciously or unconsciously wants Aberdeen and Hearts to do well so that they can push this and keep the whole battle going for as long as possible.
Well, certainly Aberdeen and Hearts are putting out statements, particularly Hearts at the weekend there. 6-0 against a very good Motherwell side is, I'm sure they'll be now looking and setting their sights a wee bit higher, and why not? And they'll just be waiting, and Celtic maybe slipping up, but certainly there are lots of important games coming up, and you need to win them all.
There are a couple of cup games that I want to get your thoughts on. 4th round Scottish Cup replays, Gordon. Inverness against Stirling Albion. John Hughes with an interesting statement. He's questioning maybe the commitment of some of his players who are maybe carrying knocks, not quite as eager to play in the early rounds of the Cup as they would be if this was a latter round.
Yeah, it was being quite critical. I was quite surprised about that, because most of the time managers, the type of thing you maybe say to players to their face, but you don't go public with it. So maybe he's looking for a reaction, because I think that they've slipped away. They were top 6 and now they've dropped out again. So he maybe just wants to get a reaction tonight because he wants to take his team forward. I mean, they've had a great cup last year, and he wants to see them challenge again for that trophy. So I think that he's just trying to get them fired up, I think.
Yeah, isn't it amazing, Robbie? John Hughes mentioned at the start of the season, after all the highs of what they'd achieved, the last thing he wanted was this drop-off, and it's materialised.
Yeah, it certainly has, and I was surprised as well with that statement this morning. He usually speaks up for his team. You know, he always gives them, even if it's a bad game, he always, you know, talks them up and says we had chances, blah blah blah. And that's the first time I've actually seen him putting a wee bit of pressure on them. So that just shows you, you know, when you drop out of that top six, sometimes you're in there and you're in a wee comfort zone, but they're falling out of that, and he's quite right to give them a wee G up.
So sometimes you have to reset your goals, and you need to, if you're a manager, you get that with the players, Ruffy. What I'm saying is, they won the cup last year, they finished third in the league, fantastic season, and a lot of these players maybe just have relaxed on that. Do you know what I mean? They've ever thought we've achieved something, and what happens is it's not you know, it's not as if they want to be like that. It's just it's subconsciously they've relaxed and they've achieved their goal. Fantastic year, and it's getting them going again a year later. And a lot of the smaller teams have problems when that happens.
Yeah, well, look at Ruffy. You know, 71 the high, and then it was just an 8-year slump for you, Ruffy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought you go to cups every year. You know, it just never materialised.
For Jags fans, I'm joking. It wasn't an 8-year slump. And with Jags in mind, just quickly, Ruffy, Chris Dolan signs an extension to his deal, which is great. And as we mentioned at the weekend, Chris Erskine might be a good idea for him to join them now.
Yeah, that seems to be the thing now with the clubs, and I think Celtic have kicked it off as well. 4 years seems to be, if you identify a player that's got 4 years in him, you know, and he's a player that you need in the team, you get them on a contract, because there's far too many players now slipping through that Bosman ruling. You know, a lot of clubs are losing money because the players aren't on long enough contracts. So for the good players and the ones that they want to hang about, 4 years seems to be the given.
Yep. Michael O'Halloran, that thing's dragging on. I think Tommy Wright mentioned he was more than a little frustrated with that. He wants to see that all done and dusted. If he's going, he's going, and let him move on. Just come up with the right money.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And I said before on Saturday's programme, I said I wouldn't be surprised if they came out and said it was down to the fact that he's been put off the player in the mental situation by all this talk about a transfer.
Yeah.
And that can happen. So I think that the manager wants it sorted. I mean, whether Rangers come in with the bid that actually matches what St Johnstone are looking for or not, but the players maybe made it clear that he wants to go, and therefore I think that deal will happen before January 31st.
Yeah, I think Mark Warburton's caught in a sort of a budget. You know, I think he wants two players, and he's obviously been given X amount of pounds to get the two players, and I think maybe if he goes over the top with one, he won't get the other. You know, so I think he's sort of hedging his bets to see what he's going to pay for O'Halloran, because he might have to pay over what he thought, obviously with the bids that he's putting in. So he might only end up with one rather than two.
Yep. I just slipped away from the Scottish Cup for a moment there. From Inverness, Stirling Albion, which the winners will face an away tie against Motherwell, but also Forfar against Linlithgow Rose is a good one, Ruffy, for a chance to play away at Ross County.
Yeah, but I think they'll go there with a lot of confidence. I saw the highlights. They really played well, took the game to them, obviously, when I think they went down to 10 men, and they still were fighting in there. So no, I think Forfar have got a wee fright in their hands, and I think they'll know that they're going to be in a game again.
Yep, absolutely. Always like to keep an eye on the junior sides as well, to see how far they can progress in the Cup. One other man that, again, I just read every week that passes by with great sadness. The trips, the miles that he has to cover to try and somehow get his career back on track, and that's Derek Riordan. Jackie McNamara, the latest, offer him a trial at York City. Yeah,
I mean, it's a lovely place to go and live, York, I'll say that. I've spent some time there, and it's a smashing place. Unfortunately, club-wise, they're not doing too well. They're sitting bottom of the fourth tier of English football. So, I mean, it's a little bit chance to revive it. Knowing the fact the money down there, it's not too bad in terms of even what they pay at that level down in England, because most of the time they're paying better money than you can get in Scotland. And if he wants to revive his career, he's going to play for people that know him well, know what he can do. So I would imagine that they'll be quite keen to get him in, because they're not out of things yet. They're within range of catching the third bottom team. The bottom two go down, and third bottom is only 3 points ahead of them. So Jackie will know that if he can get his team going at all, they've got an opportunity to stay up. Yeah, let's hope he can get some sort of deal there. The downside, Ruffy, is the nightclubs in York are not that great anyway, so it could be the perfect club for him.
Yeah, but you would like to think that he's screwed them up. You know, how many chances can you get? There is no doubt in his ability, and that's why Jackie's taking him down there. If they can get anything out of him at all, I'm sure the supporters will love him, but he needs to buckle down.
Yeah, I finished tonight with a little bit of hope for us all, Ruffy. I was reading in the paper this morning that there's a new league for overweight men. This new league, you've got to have a BMI of 30 or over, and you get points awarded for winning the game, and you actually get points for pounds lost each week for the players.
Wow.
Which
What
is
kind of scores are coming in?
I'm looking at it thinking to myself, there are some fantastic pictures of the guys playing it, and I thought, well, great, there's an incentive. And of course, some of the teams, KFC Wimbledon, Tottenham Hot Dogs, Scranmere Rovers.
I thought you would get points for. I thought you might get points for pounds gained during the match. I mean, points lost.
This is the one for us.
It's an overweight league. There should be points gained.
And the great news is, you can't play, Gordon. Anyway, on that note, we are putting our registration in. From Gordon Smith, Alan Ruffin, from myself, Peter Martin. Thanks for watching.